welcome in the commissioner of the Colonial Athletic Association, Tom Yeager. And the excitement never ends. Men's basketball, women's basketball. The conference continues to get bigger. Let me begin by asking you about the addition of the Phoenix from Elon, how much that's going to mean to the balance and what this conference continues to grow into.
Well, we're thrilled with the addition of Elon, not only as a 10th member, and it resolves the somebody's got to buy every week, but more importantly, it's a terrific university with a phenomenal future trajectory. Has so much in common with our universities already. They're going to be a terrific member and terrific addition.
Tom, let me ask you an interesting question. I think a lot of people wonder with the change in the power conferences in football. I think a lot of people in basketball wonder, will this affect the selection committee and the opportunities that smaller schools have in the NCAA tournament?
No, it really will not. And that was one of the things when this thing started on the commissioner level way back when. The two things that were clear right from the start. One, going to be messing with the championships, particularly men's basketball, and the whole revenue distribution that has come through the NCAA. And so with those kind of guarantees, it allayed a lot of the fears. Now, we still have challenges, in establishing your credentials to be selected for the NCAA tournament. Those haven't changed. The additional money that's going to be involved at the top end may make it more difficult, or may increase some of those advantages that are inherent. But it will not impact the tournament.
That's good news.
Let me ask you, though, about a battle I'm sure you have with the powers that be at times. We've been talking to all the coaches. We hear the schedule. We've heard coaches talk about opening up in Florida like Tony Shaver's going to do. There's Duke, there's North Carolina, there's Virginia, Missouri, everybody that we talk about, these big power schools. And yet this conference produced two 25-win teams last year. It just seems to me continually that I don't know if the respect is there for the job that gets done and the quality that's on display here on the men's side and both on the women's side as well.
Yeah, I've thought for 30 years probably we didn't, often get our due during the regular season. There have been some exceptions, but I think that comes to bear in the NCAA tournaments, and the success that we've had in the NCAA tournament and low-seeded teams that all of a sudden are knocking off victories. And not just in our league, but I think all in college basketball. One of the things is, when you get into some of these multi-team tournaments early in the season, neutral site, neutral officials, very same thing you see in the postseason in the NCAA tournament. All of a sudden, there's not this big a gap, and these are pretty good teams.
The attractiveness for this league, too, for coaches, Tom, I think is amazing. We have two new coaches, one from Louisville and the other from Wichita State. You're talking about high-priced programs, and, the fact that the schools in this league are able to interest people like that in the jobs, I think speaks highly of what the CAA has done.
Well, thank you. That's a credit back to our individual schools that are investing in their basketball programs for men and women that make them attractive jobs, and that where you can have high-profile coaches and young coaches that are trying to start their head coaching career believe that these are good jobs and a good place to to learn cut their spurs as a head coach, as you know. And again, that's because our institutions, it starts with their commitment.
It's got to be great for you as a commissioner also to continue to see different faces maybe at the top. James Madison making it a couple of years ago, Delaware getting that visit last year on the men's side. And, of course, we saw, one team dominate for so many years on the women's side in the CAA. Then Delaware took their run. Drexel, James Madison University, different faces continue to show up has got to be great for you in the conference.
Well, it really is. And you feel so hard. All 20 teams here, work just as hard in the weight room and spend just as many hours on long bus rides and everything else. And they all are going for the same goal. And, it is exciting. I think the general public, you're seeing it in any number of sports where, there's a little bit of a change of the guard, and, there's a storyline that develops, and that's exciting. And it rejuvenates everybody. I know when our teams made Final Four run, it rejuvenated the entire mid-major leagues around the country. And that, hey, this is possible. And you know what? There's been more of them in the last 10 years than there's been in the history probably of the modern era of college basketball.
Well, and there's no doubt. I know this is an extremely busy time for you. You were joking earlier that there's no time off for you in the summer. It's just the weather is just a little bit different because football goes on, and we certainly know that the Colonial Athletic Association, the top FCS conference in the country, the blending of the two when the two kind of collide. What's that like for the commissioner, knowing what you've got on the football side, but here's basketball right at the forefront as well?
Well, we were joking with one of the media members that basketball media day used to be kind of the start of the season. And he said, well, how's it feel to get it rolling? I said, get it rolling. I said, that started back in July. This is kind of, mid-season, at this point. But, there's a lot of ball in any kind of the transition from fall to winter, from the winter to the spring sports. There's always transition, and it hits our media partners and my media staff harder than anybody because all of a sudden they've got twice as many sports they're trying to keep up with.
Before we let you go, Charlie had mentioned a little bit about kind of the changing forefront in college sports. Where do you see the CAA position right now, knowing everything that is going on in college athletics and with the NCAA?
Well, I really like where we are because I think our institutions understand their role, their commitment to the men and women that are in their programs to provide a college education and an athletic experience. We've got some members of the NCAA that have lost track of that have become very commercial and very much pass-through individuals. It's tough to call them student athletes anymore. The fact is that the commitment that our schools make to the men and women that are in our programs is real and it's continual. And I'm pleased to represent institutions that have it in that perspective. Are
you concerned about what you're seeing right now, or do you think things are settling back down to a sense of normalcy?
No, we just had our commissioners meeting last week out in Chicago, and the external forces, whether it's the legal challenges that are going on, whether it's congressional intervention that might be on the horizon, whether it's just the changing in attitude, expectations. I think that the danger that college athletic risks is that the athletic departments become so separated from the rest of the university that's dangerous. And there's a lot of very small ways that may come home to really roost.
Tom, always a great pleasure. I know it's a busy time for you. Thank you so much for your time, and continued best of luck with this conference.
Well, Al and Charlie, look forward to seeing you at many games this winter.
We always look forward to seeing the commissioner of the Colonial Athletic Association, Mr. Tom Yeager.